And Expatriates Ministry addressed an official letter to the UN Secretary General and President of the Security Council on the Israeli occupation's intention to move ahead with the project of establishing electricity generating plants in the occupied Syrian Golan, investing the continuous wind movement there. In its letter, the ministry called upon the UN Secretary General and the President of the Security Council to shoulder their responsibilities and warn of the dangers of this project on the security and stability in the Middle East and the future of peace. The letter indicated to the failure of Israeli efforts to market the project among the people of the occupied Golan due to their adherence to their motherland, Syria.
The cabinet denounced the terrorist bombing which hit Al-Mal'ab al-Baladi neighborhood in Aleppo and claimed 30 lives and injured over 60. The cabinet said that terrorist and mercenary groups seek to terrorize civilians and punish unarmed citizens through bombings, noting that the aforementioned bombing damaged 2 hospitals, an elementary school, and nearby residential buildings. The ministers also lauded the achievements of the armed forces in Aleppo, which caused defeats for terrorists, saluting the steadfastness of the army and its heroic confrontation of the foreign conspiracy and the terrorists. The Russian Foreign Ministry has condemned the terrorist acts that were perpetrated in Aleppo, calling on foreign forces to pressure the armed opposition to stop its terrorist attacks. The Russian Foreign Ministry called for a halt of violence by all sides. It expressed its deep condolences to the relatives of the victims, wishing the wounded speedy recovery. The Russian president's special envoy to the Middle East, Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov, has held the West responsible for not implementing the Geneva Agreement to resolve the crisis in Syria, recalling that the purpose of this document for the external sides, including Russia, was to influence all parties with the aim of finding a solution to the crisis. Bogdanov, in an interview with the Lebanese newspaper As-Safir, reiterated that the purpose of the Geneva Agreement was to bring all Syrians to the table. The Russian Deputy Foreign Minister said it was the West who started deliberations at the Security Council to impose sanctions on the Syrian government under Chapter 7, which caused problems for Moscow over violating what was agreed on at the Geneva meeting. He referred to the proposals which Russia has suggested as an alternative for the West's measures in terms of calling for a Security Council meeting and a binding resolution on adopting the Geneva Agreement. Bogdanov said that the Syrian leadership is still solid and strong, enjoying important support by the Syrians. Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi said his country will consider a decision on the Egyptian proposal to resolve the crisis in Syria. Mr. Salehi pointed out that Iran accepts the Egyptian proposal in principle, and it has submitted an additional proposal that includes inviting 2 more countries, one of them is Iraq, to the 4 countries of Iran, Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Turkey. A number of ministers have toured Aleppo to be briefed on the living conditions after the armed terrorist groups wreaked havoc in the governorate. Minister of Electricity Imad Khamis visited the site of the explosion that took place near Al Hayat and the central hospitals. Minister Khamis said that the maintenance operations are underway to rehabilitate the electricity damaged in the area. The service's situation regarding the drinking water sector is still good, as the governorate's council is set on distributing water in tanks in affected areas. The inhabitants in the governorate expressed their satisfaction over the efforts exerted by authorities to provide the basic requirements so that the people would continue their lives and overcome the extraordinary circumstances.
Minister Khamis said the maintenance operations are underway to rehabilitate the electricity damaged in the area. The services situation regarding the drinking water sector is still good, as the Governorate's Council is set on distributing water in tanks and through fire squads in the areas where the inhabitants do not have access to drinking water due to the damages caused by the mercenary inhabitants. The inhabitants in the Governorate expressed their satisfaction over the efforts exerted by concerned sides in order to provide the basic requirements so that the people would continue their lives and overcome the extraordinary circumstances, particularly regarding the health sector. The people of Aleppo are determined to defend their homes with a stronger determination and confront the mercenary terrorists who are trying to undermine the Governorate's infrastructure.
The Syrian Arab Army continued to chase armed terrorist groups in Yelda and Damascus suburbs, inflicting heavy losses on them. A source in the governorate said that the terrorists used various kinds of weapons, hiding behind residential buildings and deporting citizens. In Jaramana and in cooperation with the local residents, the authorities broke into a hideout used by terrorists and captured 2 gunmen. The authorities also confiscated a machine used for money forgery in addition to forged foreign currencies. The neighborhoods of Daf al-Shok, Al-Tadamun, Zdekha and Tabab areas, in addition to Da'bul Street and Souq al-Thulatha, were cleared from the armed men, after which a number of citizens started returning to their homes. In Homs, the authorities seized 2 hideouts and 2 warehouses in Babhoud and Turkman neighborhoods used by the armed terrorist groups to manufacture explosive devices. They seized 12 tons of the material used in making explosive charges, including ammonium nitrate, sodium nitrate, and other chemical materials. In Homs countryside, terrorists infiltrated into Al-Hassan town, turning it into a headquarters for their criminal acts. They attacked the citizens of the town and neighboring villages. The armed men burned houses and deported inhabitants.
I call for eliminating the armed men. We want to live. We want our children to live in security. Our means of livelihood has been cut off. We are no longer able to get our means of livelihood. May God protect the army. People have been displaced because of the armed men who stole our things and ransacked our houses. They have left us nothing. No one understands the situation we are in and what kind of life we are leading.
4 people from Bab al-Sba' and Homs who were involved in the recent events but did not commit acts of killing have turned themselves in and surrendered their weapons to the authorities, which set them free after they had pledged not to carry arms or perpetrate acts of sabotage in the future. In Al-Raqqa, the authorities also captured terrorists Halil Hamdan bin Shahade and Awad al-Bakri bin Khalaf, who were driving a stolen car on Al-Raqqa Tel Abyad road, cutting off roads and spreading panic among citizens. In Aleppo, an army unit destroyed 16 vehicles equipped with Doshka machine guns and captured terrorists west of Al-Nur Institute in Ma'arat al-Artiq in the governorate suburbs. The authorities also confiscated 38,000 liters of diesel to be smuggled at Al-Barqoum Bridge in Aleppo.